Economist Professor Peter Korte says the current layoffs that has hit the country's media will have a ripple effect on the Ghanaian economy. According to him, this is happening because these media houses were not set up as viable businesses with reliable finances. He explains there could be a link between the crisis in the banking sector and the challenges being experienced by these media houses.
Economist Professor Peter Korte said staff layoffs being experienced by some media houses may be as a result of their owners setting them largely to promote other subsidiaries they own. His comments come on the back of several layoffs in the media, with TV Africa, Group Indum and EIB Network said to be amongst the hardest hit. The layoffs also come on the back of a banking crisis which has seen the collapse of 7 banks, with hundreds of staff losing their jobs as a result. He explains there could be a link between the crisis in the banking sector and the challenges being experienced by these media houses.
There wouldn't be a strong direct link between the financial sector and the media houses, except where they are financing some of the collapsed financial institutions are the major financiers of the media houses. Then you see a strong direct link, and therefore if they have gone down, their financiers have gone down, obviously those companies would also suffer capital issues, and therefore they would also end up laying off jobs. That shouldn't necessarily happen. I mean, if you have been capitalized to operate a media house and you are operating profitably, I don't see why, if your sister company goes down, you should go down. But where perhaps you are tied to the apron strings of these financial institutions, then obviously when they go down, you sink with them. If the media outlet is not financially sustainable, not viable, they are not profitable, they draw on these financial institutions in order to remain vibrant or a going concern, then certainly once your source of funding dries up, you will go down. But if yes, you got a capital from your financier, but you are independent, you are viable, I don't see why, if your financier goes down, you should go down. Unless there is no good corporate governance structure within those media houses, unless those media houses are not profitable, they are basically running at a loss most of the time. That is why or how they will fold up or lay off workers if their financier is in trouble.
Professor Korte believes some of the jobs created by these media institutions may stem from capitals they received from the collapsed banks.
The money, when you are calculating growth, is not the money that is put in. It is the deliverable, the output that they churn out. Yes, but obviously their output is dependent on how much funds, working capital, they get to finance the activity. So it's very likely that it's the money that they receive from their, not all of them, I believe, some of them actually their output or employment that they've been generated is as a result of the funding they've been receiving from their mother or financiers. Sometimes people do that because the media houses are sort of sources of advertisement. So a bank can, for instance, create a subsidiary where they will promote their operations, they will promote their image, their advertisements, their products, and so it's not a bad thing to do that a finance company sets up a media house. But then once that is done, those media houses should be on a sustainable path. They should be financed and managed in such a way that they will be self-reliant.
But what will be the impact of these layoffs on the Ghanaian economy? Well, Professor Korte offers some answers.
Once there are some layoffs, it's likely going to affect people's livelihood. The average Ghanaian supports 5 to 10 people. So when one person loses his or her job, or the major breadwinner loses his employment, it has a ripple effect on the economy. But I would like us to be cautious, because if we are just looking at case studies, isolated cases, Some sectors are expanding. Even the banking sector, we are told the report, the recent banking sector report shows that they are making profit. Their profits have gone up. So we ought to be careful that, yes, we've seen signs of some layoffs, but that does not mean that within the entire economy, there's general layoffs. There are some sectors that are expanding, that are employing people. So we need to have a holistic picture of the employment situation so we can draw a meaningful conclusion. What we are seeing, for me, is a case study, a few cases that we are seeing. And perhaps case studies are good. They help you drill down to some specifics, but you can't base your generalization on a few case studies. Each government should continue doing the things it's doing. It should provide enabling environments that when somebody is laid off, other sectors are also expanding so that they can be absorbed. It should provide the enabling environment that people can even set up their own private businesses and get absorbed into certainly. There are so many areas that we have not tapped into. You don't always have to rely on formal sector employment. You can always create a job, look at opportunities around you. So long as you have some little capital, you can start and then later expand or move into another formal job over time. I don't think is so doomed. The future is so doomed that the few layoffs we are seeing can affect the economy severely. I believe the opportunities are there.